Submitted for your approval, here's Jaws for NES. The game is loosely based on the Jaws 4 movie and the first movie as well. It was developed by Weston under contract from Atlus and published in 1987 by LJN. LJN is notorious for publishing quite a few games that are considered amongst the worst ever made. The Angry Video Game Nerd made an episode about this game. However, the game is not that bad, it's just a bit unforgiving and annoying, that's all. Once you get used to the inertia of the character and the enemy's patterns, it becomes a fun, fast-paced arcade game that can be played either for a speedrun or to max out the score. The game is divided in 4 kinds of stages: the map screen, the undersea stages, the bonus stages, and the final battle with Jaws. You begin on the map screen at the western port, and your goal is to navigate to the eastern port and back. Every time you dock, and if you have enough shells to pay for them, you will receive an upgrade to your power, which starts at level 1 and goes up to 9. But first, you'll have to buy a receiver, which will allow you to track Jaws. While sailing from port to port, you will occasionally hit something. You will then enter the underwater stage, in which you control a diver, namely Chief Martin Brody, played by Roy Scheider in the movie. You are equipped with a harpoon launcher, which you can use by pressing the B button. If Jaws is nearby when you enter an underwater stage, it will soon join in. At the beginning of the game, you're better off just avoiding it, since any minor damage you manage to inflict will be negated when the stage finishes. If you hit Jaws instead, your boat will be able to shoot bombs until it's hit by any enemy. B shoots to the left, A shoots to the right. You want to use this to your advantage, since they can take up to 4 bars of health off Jaws. Every enemy in the underwater stage takes a specific number of hits, except for Jaws, who will take damage directly proportional to your power level. It's therefore in your best interest to raise the power level to at least 3. Enemies will sometimes drop items, such as stars, crabs or shells. You need shells to increase your power level at the ports, and you will want 3 or 4 crabs to increase your maneuverability. The stars will give you some points. A turbo controller does help. All enemies will lend you a certain amount of points. Every 30,000 points, a mini-shop will spawn on the map. After you run into it with a boat, you will control it on the underwater stages instead. It's more maneuverable than the diver. It can shoot bombs, and if you're hit, you will only lose it and revert to the diver, instead of dying. After the second underwater stage, and every 3 stages afterwards, you will enter a bonus screen. Your plane will fly from left to right and back, and 5 rounds of jellyfish will swim in from left and right, alternately. Press either button to drop bombs on them. For every 3 hits, you will get a shell at the end of the stage. You will also rack up some nice points. You will need to sail back and forth, raising your power level until you're ready to fight Jaws. Avoid shallow waters unless you're looking for a challenge. You get 3 attempts, also known as lives, at slaying the Great White. If you die, the following things will happen. You lose 1 life. You lose all bonus strokes. This is reasonable. You die, you lose a life. No problem with this one. You lose 1 power level. You lose half your shells, rounded up. You can say that this is the equivalent to losing your weapon in a shoot 'em up. I will still call it reasonable, if annoying, since acquiring shells is not really that hard. However, there aren't that many games where dying costs you money. That sounds more like real life. Joss regains all power. This is a bit inconvenient if your power is low, but still it's fair game. There are many games in which dying resets the health of a boss, in one way or another. Lose the receiver. Now, this one is an undeserved punishment. It forces you to do a whole loop around the map just to get to the power level you were at before dying, for no good reason at all. During this trip, you will inflict less damage on Joss, should you encounter it, who on top of that is at full health again. In other words, the game forces you to grind yourself back to a good fighting chance. So, try not to die. Still, with all that said, the game is not actually bad. It's just a bit annoying in case you happen to die. This is how you beat it. Stay away from the bottom and the sides. You want as much space to maneuver as you can have. Staying around the center of the screen most of the time will make it easier to catch items and dodge enemies. Avoid shallow water. For the very same reason, avoid shallow water. If you hit something in shallow water, the vertical space will be much less and the enemies will be packed together. Once you acquire a power level you're comfortable with, park your boat in deep waters and wait for Jaws to come to you. You don't want to risk dying a stupid death in the underwater stage while sailing around, do you? Use the bombs on the boat when Jaws appears. You can bring Jaws' health down a nice bit if you manage to hit it with enough bombs. Keep in mind that anything touching the boat will cause you to drop to the water, so you only get a few seconds of easy damage. Use them. Dodge Jaws by staying on the surface. I can't say whether this is a glitch or intentional. Regardless, if you stay on the surface, Jaws won't damage you. The mini-shop will still be destroyed, but you won't be harmed otherwise. Move intentionally. If you swing around the screen without purpose, you will end up dying pretty soon. Plan each movement before executing it. You don't need to kill everything as soon as it appears. Some enemies are easier to dodge than others. Your hitbox is slightly smaller than your character sprite, which makes dodging really fair. Ignore Jaws until you're ready to go for a kill. Jaws will regenerate 4 bars of health every time you finish an underwater stage, so if you're not yet ready to inflict considerable damage, you're better off just avoiding it until the stage ends. Some of you may have noticed that I've been playing the game all along. That's right. The time it takes to watch this video is the time it takes to beat Jaws, with a turbo controller, at power level 4. Even with a turbo controller, it took 2 rounds to bring Jaws down to its... Shark D's equivalent? Fin? Whatever. The point is, the game can be finished rather quickly, or you can choose to time lock and accumulate as many power levels as you want. Once you get to level 9, you will receive bonus strobes instead. Or maybe you want to max out the score. It's up to you how long to keep playing. The game won't end until you kill Jaws. And now, without further ado, for the final battle! As soon as you bring Jaws' health down to 0, the screen will freeze. Jaws' power meter will flash for a few seconds, and then the final stage will begin. You have all the time in the world to complete this stage, so don't rush it. Turn around the boat if necessary. You want to keep Jaws straight ahead of you. Wait for Jaws to charge at your boat, and when it is on the dark line closest to you, hit A to light a strobe. This will force Jaws out of the water. Wait until its belly is facing you, and press B to ram it with your boat. that's all for this video. It's been fun putting it together. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully you'll be now more willing to give this game a chance. It doesn't have a lot of enemies, or variety of stages, or quantity for that matter. The hit detection is fair and pretty good, the controls are twitchy but precise, and its biggest flaw can be avoided by not dying, which is usually good policy in general. The music on the intro is GlouGlou by Kumiko. There will be a link on the description. All the characters and trademarks and logos and all that jazz are the property of their respective owners. Thanks for watching, and until the next time!